Alright, in this Geek Tip video I'm going to show you how to clean up and reset Microsoft Edge. Actually, we're talking about the new version that is based on Chromium, just like Google Chrome. In fact, we'll find that there are settings inside of Edge that are quite the same, in fact exactly the same as what's in Chrome. Of course, then there are other settings that are not. So let's go ahead and start by going up here to the settings and more button. You'll notice that it's 3 horizontal dots instead of 3 vertical dots like Chrome. So we're going to click on that. Let's first go into settings, and one thing we'll notice when we get in here, we actually have 15 categories over here for configuring Edge, and they're not one continuous page. They're separate individual pages. Chrome has everything continuously on one side, but not Edge. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the profile. Basically, this is just like sync with Firefox or Chrome. You can actually synchronize your passwords, your payment, your addresses, all that pertinent information. You actually can tie it into a Microsoft account, which is also important if you plan on using the family safety, which we'll look at when we get there. You can actually also import the browser data from other installed browsers. So okay, so we're good there. You can actually go in and edit any of these, any pieces of that data. So let's move on to privacy and services. This is one important section, so let's go ahead and start walking through these. Tracking prevention. We're talking about cookies here and how Edge handles them. Balanced is pretty good. I mean, it's it's recommended, and will definitely work for the majority of people. You can actually go in here and look at the sites that you've blocked. You can actually go in here and see the sites that you've allowed. You can actually enable the strict tracking when in private, which is like incognito or similar settings inside of Firefox. So it's your choice. By default, balanced is what is there. So let's go into clear browsing data. Now this is a good place to look for or clear out junk for websites, especially if you're having a site that you can't get into and you've been able to get into it before. A lot of times if you clear the cache out, you'll find that the website will start working correctly for you. So normally when I have a customer call and they say, I couldn't get into this website, I got into it 2 days ago, but today it's not working for me. So I normally I go in here and I just select all time, clear now, and I leave the default selections here: the history, download history, cookies, and cache. Once you clean that out, usually you might have to restart Edge, but normally any banking website or site with strict security will start working correctly. So next section here is privacy. Do not send requests has been turned off by default. I recommend turning it back on. That way you don't get the tracking, especially like Facebook. Facebook likes to read cookies and see where you've been, and that way it can display ads in regards to things you've been looking at. So do not send requests, and definitely want to turn that on. You can have it check, have Edge allow websites to see if you've got payment information stored on it. It's 601 does another here. If you want to, you can. You can't. It's strictly up to you. Certificates. This really is a Windows setting, so I wouldn't even bother with that. Help improve Microsoft Edge. Personalize your web experience. Basically, you're agreeing to share your browsing data with Microsoft. So by default, they're turned off. I'd leave them off. Services, these are recommended. These are default. They work, really, really well. The only thing I would look at is the address bar. Right here, you want to see if the search engine, default search engine for Edge has been hijacked. It'll say right here, whether it has been or not. If you don't recognize any of the search engines listed here, if you got something in there that says my bogus web search or something like that, it's obvious it's been hijacked. Go into the manage search engines here, click on the 3 horizontal dots, edit. You can actually pull them out if you want, remove. So yeah, go ahead, change default, get rid of any malicious or any search engine you don't recognize. Get rid of it. Boom, that's it. So next is appearance. Really, this is personal preferences again. However you want it to look and behave. But one thing you do want to look at is the show home button. Sometimes you'll have malicious extensions or websites actually change this default URL for your home button to myboguswebsearch.com, things like that. So take a look there. If you do find something you don't like, go ahead, get rid of it. So basically it's all just everything else is just personal preference. On startup, same thing here. If you have open a specific page or pages selected, look at the pages listed here. If you have anything that says like mybogussearchengine.com or mybogussearchresults.com, something like that, get rid of it. You've been hijacked. You definitely don't need your browser opening up like that. Edge is built on the same Chromium open source project Chromium, like Chrome is, and there's one big security issue I found, and we're going to get to that. It's in Chrome. It's also in Edge here, but when we get there, I'll point it out to you. But yeah, you definitely want to take a look on startup. Make sure that's all clear. On the new tab page, it's pretty much personal preference. Customize it any way you like. So site permissions. This is where you decide how you're going to let devices and sites and different programs run, like Adobe Flash. It's disabled by default because technically it's been completely phased out. So yeah, so the defaults here are pretty much good as far as the settings are concerned. You can customize them any way you want, but default's perfectly fine. Default browser. Basically, you click on make default. Since this is a Microsoft product, it's not going to bring you up to default apps inside of the settings. Okay, Chrome, Firefox, any other browser, you click on make default, it'll come up and it'll have the default apps section inside the settings. But Microsoft has got the code, so you just click that make default and bam, it automatically reset inside of the settings default apps. So but one thing I did want to show you here is the Internet Explorer compatibility. I have a lot of customers that actually still use Internet Explorer because of backwards compatibility with websites. A lot of it has to do with ActiveX controls. So if you find yourself using Internet Explorer for specific websites, I've got one client that uses it for ADP for payroll. They have to use Internet Explorer because they got ActiveX controls it requires. You can actually go ahead and set this up so that Edge works in a Internet Explorer mode. So I just want to show you that. Downloads, like I say, you can change where it defaults to. I always recommend, I personally like to have my browser ask me where I want to save each file, because technically I don't want to have to have them go into the downloads folder and then have to move them to someplace else. If I'm downloading something for a particular project or client, I'll download it into the project or client folder and be done with it. So, family safety. This is a feature that is part of Microsoft accounts. I wrote a blog in regards to how to use this for, it's really good for children under the age of 18. You can actually set up a Microsoft account and have restrictions, time restrictions, websites, all sorts of features that you can enable or disable using family safety. So you can always go over to Geeks in Phoenix, go into the blog, do a search for family safety. There's a link there. There's also a link inside of the actual blog that this video will be in, and I'll actually have a link to that in the description, or inside or right below the video on YouTube. So you guys can click on that, go into the website and view it that way. Languages, well, pretty much self-explanatory. We're just going to walk by that. Printers, exact same thing, so just keep by that. System, there is one setting here that I highly recommend you disable, and that is this continue running background apps when Microsoft Edge is closed. Chrome has the same feature, and the biggest problem I've found is that you'll get a malicious extension or a malicious website, and it'll actually enable this. And what happens is, if there's an app or an extension that can run inside of Edge, they can do all sorts of things like crypto mining and things like that. If you enable that, they can actually get Edge to start up when Windows starts up and run completely in the background. I've had clients call me and say, I don't understand why my system's so slow. I go into Task Manager and I find that the browser's still running. You go into the properties of it and you see all these wild extensions running, and they're basically running inside the browser, and they're running in kiosk mode, and you'll never know it until your performance comes to a standstill on your computer, and you're just like, well, I don't know, why is it doing that? It's like, well, you got malicious extensions in there, and they're running the browser, and they're doing it without your knowledge, doing it behind your back. So definitely turn that off. Hardware acceleration, that's self-explanatory. Open computer proxy settings, that actually just opens up your network settings. So reset settings, one click, that's it. It's going to take everything out except for your favorites, your history, and your saved passwords. Boom, that's it. Once you click on reset, it's going to put the whole browser back to the way it came out of box. You'll have to go back to and do all your own customizations. Everything you customized before, you have to get rid of. So you have to redo it all. So use that button very carefully. Only at in dire needs. That comes right above having to uninstall and reinstall Edge. So phone and other devices, that kind of expands on the profile section. So basically, sign into sync, it's underneath your profile. You can, this expands on the profile section up here. So about Microsoft Edge, as you can see, it's checking for updates. That's really best thing that happens here. It gives you the version number. It checks for the latest version. It also tells you it is part of Chrome. It's open source. It's just like Google Chrome. So next place we want to go, and really the last one really is everything else is kind of personal preferences, but we want to go into extensions, and we want to make sure that we don't have any bogus extensions in here. So one thing I do want to point out is if you want to be able to install extensions from the Google Chrome web store, you can actually click this little button right here, and that'll allow you to download. As you can see, the link here, it says Chrome Web Store, so you can actually download and install Chrome extensions and run them inside of Edge. Since they're both based on Chromium, it's I'm pretty sure Google's not happy about that, but either way. So if you find an extension in here, something like my bogus website or my bogus search engine, you can actually just turn it off by default. Okay, and if it makes things better, just come in here and remove it. You can turn off any extension you want, but if you find some bogus extensions in here, you don't know where they came from, you don't remember installing them, yeah, your browser was hijacked, and you got got to get rid of them. Normally what happens is you get just one in your browser, installed in your browser, and then that one brings in more. So it's kind of like opening up the door and saying, yo, party over here. And then before you know it, your browser runs slower than molasses. And well, that's one place to look, is actually in installed extensions. So other than that, when you get to if reset settings, the extensions, you get it all cleaned up, and you're still not happy with the way it's performing, you can actually uninstall Chrome or uninstall Edge. Chrome Edge, basically the same thing. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. So let's go ahead. We're going to click on the start button here. We're going to go to the gear, which is settings. We're going to go to apps, and we'll scroll down here, and we'll find Microsoft Edge. We click on Microsoft Edge, and we click on that, and we say uninstall. Okay, but since we've got Edge update here, it's going to be kind of hard, but usually the uninstall button will be right there. There's another way to do it too. We'll go down here to search. Let's type in control. Control panel will pop up. Go into control panel. We're going to either have uninstall program with the category view, or with the icon view, we're going to have programs and features. And we'll click on that, and we'll actually find Microsoft Edge. I'll list them by alphabetically order. So Microsoft Edge, change, gives us the option to uninstall. Once we get it all uninstalled and it's gone, we restart the computer. We need to clean up a little bit behind it, okay, because it's going to leave some remnants. So if you go over to the companion blog, there'll be a link down in the description for this video, you'll actually find the companion blog down here, and there is the hidden folder that all your settings are stored in, and it's down here. Actually got it right here. We just go ahead and we copy that. We're going to open up a run dialog box. We've already got it there, so let's go ahead and run it, and we're going to find this folder called Edge. Now you've uninstalled Edge, so this is, should be empty. It shouldn't even be here once you've uninstalled it, but if it is, go ahead, delete it, get rid of it. Then there's this second location you have to go into, and that's in the program files x86 folder. You're going to find it under Microsoft Edge. Okay, go ahead, delete the Edge folder too. Once you have those two folders deleted, you'll be ready to download and reinstall Microsoft Edge. So for more geek tips, go on over to Geeks in Phoenix. Alright, that's it. Have a great day. Bye.